right, today on Board Game Coffee's second Unfiltered review, we are covering Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. And I'm joined by...
Brittany. And Kayla.
Chris.
Boom! Let's do this.
Get back here this instant!
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to start with a quick overview of what just happened here. Now, we just played. That's why the board looks like the way it does. So here's what Rear Window is all about. Rear Window is basically, I played the part of the director. Every other player plays the part of a watcher. Now, it's based on the movie Rear Window, which I've actually never seen, but I want to see because I'm an Alfred Hitchcock fan. So here's what you do. The idea is the director has this, I don't know if it'll be visible on the board, but he's got this little board here with answers to who lives in each apartment and what their attributes are. So, for example, this would be, and they've got names on the back. This is the songwriter. So the songwriter is the art connoisseur, etc. The purple guy is the gardener, the green couple are the gourmands, and the orange lady is the virtuoso. So this is all hidden information that the watchers, the director has this information, the watchers have to figure it out. So how they figure it out is by the director, me, giving out clues. I'm going to just lay this down for a second. Giving out clues in the form of cards, which with images on them. So I could give out this card here, but there's a whole bunch of images on this card that you could read. It could be, there's a camera, maybe it's a photographer. There's food, maybe it's the gourmand, maybe it's somebody who likes food, right? This one is got a character in it. Maybe that's the character, which is one of the yellow characters available in this game. Yeah. Oh. So, which is Miss Thornwall. Thornwall, is that? I keep dropping it. Thornwald. So Mrs. Thornwald, she's in the picture. Maybe I'm trying to say she's in that room. Or maybe it's something else in this picture.
Fancy.
I don't know what else it would be.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's
chic.
maybe it's Trey Chic because she's making her own outfit. So it could be anything. That could be Mr. Thornwald, which I believe that's who it is. And there's other things, and it gets trickier when it gets to things like this. Because maybe it's these couple, which is the escape couple. No, fire escape couple. Or maybe they're gardeners because there's a bunch of flowers in it. Maybe they're art, what's the art one? There are art lovers or art connoisseurs. Because there's a piece of art in it. Who knows? It could be whatever. How you interpret this is, you kind of try to play your... like the director tries to communicate with their watchers and tries to give them information because the director can't speak. And I'm trying to get the watchers to this answer. So it's tricky.
You've got the two pictures in that category to try to figure out what he's trying to
Exactly,
portray.
because there's two things. There's a person and there's an attribute. And in some cases, could you pass me that purple one? There's this double attribute, which could be like this couple dining with, and I'm just going to, because it's handy, dining with this lady, who is the hearing aid lady, I believe? Yeah. Miss Hearing Aid. So it could be this couple dining with her. And I'm trying to convey this information using these cards, because I can't speak. And the information is hidden behind my board. So, and there's other games like this. There's, I believe, Dixit, which I've never actually played, but I heard plays like that. Mysterium is another one. Mm-hmm. And so every turn I have 8 cards, and I have to play 8 cards. I can play up to 2 of them face down. And when I play 2 of them face down, that it's either because I'm like, I don't want you to pay attention to this, like, because I have to play 8 cards, and I don't want you to see that one, because it's just going to throw you off. But if I have a bunch of bad cards I don't want to use, I have a director's, or this cut board, which I can throw away. I have 3 of those. And I can swap any number of cards in my hand, which is a random selection from the deck that I have. So, and in the last game we had, I used all of them. So we just finished playing a game. So the goal is I'm showing pictures to try to get the players to guess these things. Now, they also have these special powers, because the main characters from the movie each have their own special abilities. Like what is he? Yeah, I think he's a detective. I'm reading these upside
Yep.
down. I think he's a detective. So he can point to one thing, like they pointed to this couple, and there's like, is this couple right or wrong? As a director, I can say yes or no, but in this case, it was yes. Then this girl, I can't remember what her name is,
Really
she can look
helpful.
at 2 cards that are face down. This guy can make me swap a face down card, and the lady at the end has an arrow she gives me. She picks a card, and I have to point to the thing that is most relevant in that card on that photo. And I think both of those really helped you guys.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah.
So that's how the game works. And you have 4 rounds to figure it out. But here's the catch. There is also this murderer tile. So it's possible that one of these things on my board, let's just play, it could have been the murderer. So this guy, Mr. Thornwald, could have been the murderer. Now, the game we just had, there was no murderer. So it was a co-op game. The director was trying to get the watchers to get the answer, and we all win together. Mm-hmm. But if there was a murderer, then in that case, I'm trying to get them. Oh, when I say working together and we're trying to get the right answers, we're all trying to get 8 correct answers. That means every room has to be right. The character and the attribute in each room. And now you see 4 apartments, but they're not 4 apartments. It's the same apartment at different times of day. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So there's only one correct answer, which has 8 possible answers, as displayed here. Because if you see A, B, C, D matches A, B, C, D. But anyways, that is the correct answer. So, but if there is a murderer, then it's the director versus the watchers. So in that case, only the watchers can win, or only the director can win. But for the director to win, I have to guide the watchers enough so that they get 6 or 7 answers correct. That's what these blocks indicate. They indicate how many things they got correct. And if they ever get to 8, then the watchers win. But if I get them to 6, I believe it's 6 or 7. I gotta double check this, but I have 6 or 7. If I get them to 6 or 7 and they haven't found the murderer, then I win, which is great because I've basically had to cover the murderer's tracks.
But still give enough information that we can get to that point of 6 or 7.
Yeah, I have to give you enough information still. So, but if they get 7 or 8 and there is a murderer and they guess the murderer, then they win. But we had a game where there was no murderer, so we had to, between all of us, had to get 8 correct. And there's a bunch of tokens here that you place on the board to take your guess. And then after that, so I would tell you, like, here you got 5 right. And then we'd move on to the next day. And then based on the information they have here, they took a guess here. And I was like, oh, you got like 7 right, or whatever you got. And then we go to the next day. And here, they got 8 right. So we won before we got to the 4th day.
Woo!
Go team!
Woo woo!
Yeah.
Go team! Well done. So that is how the game plays. That's a rough. I think that explains it pretty well. Mm-hmm. There's random cards. So one thing you got to think about is, I have 8 cards and I have to play all 8 cards, and I have very limited options to swap certain cards out. I can only do it 3 times. And what the cards I swap out for are also random. So I might play cards that are not necessarily helpful, but they might be. Who knows? And each day I can play 2 face down. So that's it. I think that is it for
That's a good review.
That's a good overview. Yep. And now we are going to get to the review and what we actually thought of Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window by Funko Games. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so as this being our second Unfiltered review, we have Kayla, and Kayla is new to the Unfiltered review system. Are you ready to do this, Kayla?
I am.
You're taking place of Jess, actually, because other than Jess, you're here. Now, here's the thing. We played 2 games back to back, and it was just me, Chris, and Kayla, and we lost. And then we brought Brittany in, and we won on day 3. Now, is it a Brittany thing?
I think so.
Maybe
I'm biased.
Brittany makes the difference? Okay, so now I do have...
Sure I did the math on it, just saying.
I do have a little guide here, so I'm going to walk us through.
Okay.
And so we can keep our review kind of
Controlled.
condensed and controlled.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? So now, and I made a mess of my board back here, so I'm just going to clean this up here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, I believe this is the first thing, is replayability. Does the game get better or worse? Is the game still fun once you know all the strategies? Do players enjoy their first game? Is this a game that requires a few plays before things click? So, replayability. That is the topic. Go. What do you guys think? What's the replayability on this one?
Go ahead.
No, I say you definitely play this over and over again. I don't think there's anything that kind of controls you. But Mark has a great take on rules on how to play this game over and over again. You can't, after the game's done, you cannot say why you picked that card.
Yep.
If you could explain that a little bit more, Mark,
so
I think it's a great rule.
Here's the thing. And I'm going to use one card as an example, which I actually happen to have here in my hand. And
We all know what card it is.
so here's the thing.
Can I say it?
And no, this thing.
I know what it is.
This thing still happened. The same issue happened in Mysterium, which this game has a lot of similarities to.
It's not your fault.
And Obscurio is another game that has a lot of similarities. So, which is basically you got one person communicating with cards, and they can't tell the other people. The other people are figuring it out. And I'm assuming Dixit, which I've never played, plays the same. And that is, if I picked a card, and I'm like, okay, I picked this card to represent something in this room, I don't want to tell you why I picked this card. And the reason why is because, here's an example. I'm going to use this one example because it's really ruined for everybody else. I played this card.
There's money under the bed.
Yeah, so there's money under the bed. And I said, I played that card down because it was the thief. And on the game we played, and this was at the end of the game, after we failed or won, whatever. I was like, that's the reason I played that card.
I didn't even know there was money in it.
And I started with an emphasis being like, I don't like to explain cards, but I'm going to do just one. And then you'll see what the problem is. And here's the thing. I said, there's money under the bed. That's why I thought it was a thief. And you two, because I played with this game with Kayla and Brittany, and they were both like, "Oh, that makes sense. They're hiding money that they stole." We had not even
noticed there was money under the bed.
You didn't even notice
the carpet.
So that was it, right? So I said, they hide money under the bed. But I'm not going to explain how I did anything else. That was the only one. So, but here's why you shouldn't do that. Because the next game I played, thief came up again.
No, you played the card and then we're like, thief!
Yeah, I did. I played that card, and everybody was like, automatically thief! And it was.
But it could have not been.
It could have not been.
Could have been the gardener because of the flowers.
But it's hard not to use the word thief when I know you know it's thief, and I'm trying to win together as a group. It was like, okay, I'm going to play that down as a thief. Now, for Mysterium, what happened was it was Doctor.
It was Doctor.
And there was a card down, and I explained once to Brittany. I remember telling Brittany, it was like, I can't tell you why. She said, why can't you tell me why? It was because it'll ruin every other game. And so I explained one card, and I was like, this guy's wearing a mask that was like what doctors used to wear back in the day. And she's like, oh, okay. So the next time I played that card, whether it was a doctor or not, Brittany was like, it's a doctor because of the mask. So I was like, here's the thing. Part of me is like, I want to play the doctor mask, or in this case, the money under the bed, to tell them it's a thief because I know they know it's a thief. But then I think I'm cheating. Mm-hmm. But then if I play for anything else, like a bear,
we won't see it.
You guys will be like, it's a thief! It's gotta be a thief! And I'm like, I've screwed myself in two ways. I'm either cheating, or I've locked everybody's brain into, it's that card is that one thing.
The only way to get out of that is if you were to use an ability and say, what's important on that card?
Yeah, and
but that's an if.
Yeah, so
that's a very rare. You have to pick that specific.
So, you brought this up as far as replayability. And I agree, replayability... I think the replayability on this game is great. You can keep playing it over and over again because it's random. It's excellent.
Just don't break that rule.
Do not break that rule. Do not explain why you pick things. If you want, I think it's okay to be like, this was the answers. You told the answers. Like, this lady was a virtuoso. Or, and then you can, like, in this case, you guessed this guy and the thief. But the answer was the correct guy, but it was Gardner, not the thief. Mm-hmm. But... I just tell you that was the answer, and then let you guys look at the previous cards and figure it on your own what it was. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say yes or no. You'd be like, okay, he must have done that because there was this there, and this there, and that there, and this. That must have been it. Maybe you're right, maybe you're not. Maybe it's color-coded. Who knows? But I'm not going to say that anymore because that ruins all those games.
And what a lot of people forget is the fact you've only got those 8 cards whether you use those abilities or not, to choose from. So some things are not necessarily the best descriptive version of what you want to say.
Yeah.
So it's very hard being in your position. I don't want to do
it. We'll describe. There's another section more appropriate for that. But I think replay value in this game, I think there's a good replay because there's a lot of mix.
Yeah.
But one thing I think you'd have to do, and this is me personally, we played one game, and the rule is attributes. The watchers select 12 attributes from 20 attributes just to select. And then I get 12 of those things randomly. So I get these things, the top of them, turned face down like this so I can't see them. I select 4 random, put them on my board. And then, but as the rules go, I can select the people I put on there. But I did that on the first game, and I did what I thought made sense. Or what I thought maybe you guys would read into, right? And then, because so anyways. But the second game, two of the same attributes came up. And I was like, oh, but I've accessed all these people. So I was like, I can make the same person the thief, and I can make the same person the gardeners. So I was like, I don't want to do that because they're going to get it again because we play these games back to back. So I was like, I purposely didn't do them and I mixed them up. But the third game, I was like, I'm just going to do the persons randomly and the attributes randomly. And I believe, as far as this game goes, I think it's better to do the attributes and the people randomly. Because then you're going to start doing that meta game where you're like, oh, I think they'll know this because they've already related that once. They've already guessed that once, and they're going to guess it again. And I don't want to do that. So as far as replayability...
Workforce.
Yeah, I would do all random. I would do all random all the time.
Make it work better.
Yeah. You let your users, the watchers picked, that's fine. Let them pick their attributes. But when the director, I think the director should do everything random. That's my opinion. Okay. Sorry, you want to say something else?
One of the things I wanted to mention is I do think this game needs to be played multiple times before you can get the full enjoyment out of it.
Okay.
Because the first time you play, you're kind of trying to figure it out, and it's very hard, and you're just kind of like, that was hard. I don't understand how people can get it in 4 days. But that was actually a conversation we had. And then, we've played it so many times since then, and now all of a sudden it's like, we got it in 3 days.
But yeah, here's the thing. You guys did say that. Like, my first game was with these two. My first 2 games.
And then we just progressively got better and better, putting clues together.
Even on the first game, there was a murderer. And so I had to get you guys to get to 6. I still
don't understand how we even figured that out.
You still got 6. You still got 6 out of 8 answers right on your first game. But I won because you didn't guess the murderer, and there was a murderer, and I needed you to get to 6, so I won.
We guessed the wrong murderer.
No, you didn't guess any murderers, I don't think.
You did. The murderer, we put it in the wrong spot.
So, in the second game, I actually did it randomly, but they were very kind of sore about the murder thing. So when I pulled it randomly, a murderer came up, and I was like, I'm just going to put this back in my box. This is the box that holds the rejects. And I just chose another randomly so there wouldn't be a murderer, just to see how that game went. And the scoring didn't go any much better.
I feel like now that we've played it so many times, I feel like I enjoy the game better when you're not the murderer than when you are the murderer. Because I feel like the cards make more sense. Because you're not trying to screw us over, you're trying to help us.
But that's an interesting thing about this, is I'm trying to screw you over to an extent. Because I still need you guys to get 6 right.
Yeah, I know, but it has a different feeling. And maybe it just has a different feeling because there's 3 of us putting our brains together this time around, whereas before it was just the 2 of us kind of playing multiple games. I
think we're spilling out of replayability.
Sorry. Yeah.
But no, that's okay. Don't apologize. It's okay. It's a conversation. It's a conversation. We're going to try to keep it wrangled, but if it spills out, it spills out. That's fine.
But I think that adds to me wanting to play even more in regards to replayability. Whereas if there was always a murderer and you're always working against us, I don't know if I have the same connection.
I found it interesting that there's 12 attributes, and the 13th attribute is a murderer. And
so it's rare.
Our first few games, I always picked murderer. It always came up. I was like, what the hell?
What are the chances of that?
Okay, so
okay.
That's it. All right, next, aesthetics. Now, aesthetics category covers how good are the component quality, how good is the artwork, and what do you think about the graphic design? Sorry, Brittany, go ahead. You feel like you want to? You got something on you.
Ready to go.
I love the art in this game. I think it pulls you right into theme instantly. I absolutely love the art on these boards because when you're looking at it, like I don't feel it in this game because I'm to the side of it, but I kind of do. But when you're looking directly at it, you feel like you're looking through a window.
I did not realize there, like you guys are pointing out the whole body on the balcony there. I'm like, what is that? Well, I didn't even notice that. Yeah. But the artwork is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really pulls you into the era.
Yep.
I think this game does a really good job at pulling you into the era, and I do love the artwork that's on each individual card. I like the style of it. So I'm a huge fan of the components. I mean, it's cards and cardboard, so, but it's a good quality. Like I wouldn't.
As far as the quality of the components, like. I like that even these, like the days.
They're like
did
a
you
hard.
Take those people out of there?
Yep.
It's like a hard cardboard. I like that.
Yeah, it's like a stiff card. Like all the cardboard is like this nice, thick.
It's beautiful.
Sturdy cardboard. Even the boards.
Card, just like, it's dark. Why is that guy sitting there? I don't know why it bothers me, but he's a killer right there. He's a murderer.
I do like the abstractness in it because there's so many different things that you could pull out of one card. Like there's
what
so many
I was
different
going to say
scenarios.
is compared to other games we've played with cards like this, I like it because they don't have as much stuff on them.
Like
so we can pull the answers a
like
little
games
more.
Like games, like
abstract.
they're less crazy than like a game like Mysterio,
where
it's
so
like a rat with a hat on a boat with holding a balloon,
very Salvador Dali.
On fire.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like this makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
As far as artwork goes, like I love it. Like this box, the box sold me right away.
And the detail in the box looks like a wallpaper. It's beautiful. You have to show it. It's probably one of my favorite insides of the boxes.
Because we took out the inside insert because the insert is great.
Yeah.
Oh, we should.
But the way that we
should grab the insert. We should grab the insert wherever you put it. But there's the.
But it's like this beautiful wallpaper that would be in this type of era. Yeah. Right? Like, this is what you would see in someone's living room or kitchen or whatever. Head. Like, it's just... the little details...
Get that tray. Get that tray.
Beautiful.
You lost it already. Just put it in the center of the table. So, this tray is... I can't... There you go. So, this is a great thing about the components. All these attributes... I don't have these all, but let's say there's a photographer, there's a fifth photographer card token somewhere. But they all sort in here nicely. And when you put this plastic lid on here, it keeps it in place. Unless, which we found out, if you're in mid-game and you have these things half empty like it is now, and you turn the game, certain cards or certain tokens will splatter all over this place. But when it's full, it does hold together.
But I mean, who's really doing this at home?
No.
Nobody is.
So it's fine. When you put the game away, this tray works great.
Beautiful.
Keeps everything nice and organized. And like the people go in the smaller... let me show that. The people go in the smaller ones, the burgers go there, and all the attributes go here. And it's nice and organized, nice and clean. I like it.
Like, even the special cards, like the artwork on that is fantastic. Yeah. Like, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I think I agree. Like all the artwork is beautiful. Whoever painted this, they did a freaking great job. And I like that it's this extra thick cardboard for everything. Like it's got like the people are this thick cardboard, the attributes are this thick cardboard, but at the same time, it's really simple. Like there's not much here. This game doesn't look like something that you'd be like, oh, it's got a bunch of minis and things and it costs a lot of money.
Lots of fiddly bits.
But it's got. I think it's got everything it needs. It doesn't have more than it needs, and the parts it has at the art, I think they did a great job.
There's enough variety.
And here's one detail I did like, which kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
So I opened the book, and this is the rule book, and it says Player's Guide, and it's the first rule book I've ever seen that doesn't use the artwork of the game. Like this doesn't look like it belongs in this game, but it belongs in that era.
Like a magazine.
Movie. Yeah.
Like a movie.
And part of the story is that this guy, the photographer, took this photo, and because it was like a near-death experience, I think he's in a because I haven't seen Rear Window. I think he's in a wheelchair or something, but something confines him to this room, And this is the picture he took, and it's featured on this magazine cover, which I think was really neat. And they have the 25 cents thing and everything, and I think that's cool. It plays into the story.
It's clever.
Like, it came in the box. I don't need it to have the art on the box for me to know that this belongs to this. But it did throw me for a while, because I was like, is this like... Some games have like those promo books or like, here's other games that Funko Games has. Right? But it's not. And I thought that was really cool. So, artwork, components, fantastic. Simple. Not overly... I wouldn't say this is overly produced at all. I think it's a perfect amount of production.
Yeah.
Use the art in the right places. Okay. So we're good. We're good. And the graphic design, as far as like...
It's very straightforward.
We described the cards like it's simple. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good.
It's user-friendly.
Now, theme. Does the theme fit the mechanics of the game? Is the theme fun to imagine yourself in? Now, I haven't seen the movie. But I have heard a lot of people talk about the movie, and I've heard that the movie, it fits. And for me, as the director, like, you're looking at this thing, and you're like, oh, cool, there's a body somewhere on here. I've never even looked at this thing, because I've only ever played as the director. And that's the thing you should consider. I've only ever played as the director. But on your side, I see the guy in the wheelchair with the camera looking
At you.
at me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I have seen the movie, and it very much fits the theme of the movie. You do very much feel like you're trying to figure out who is each person that you're looking through their window, and like, how would you describe them? Like, you don't know these people, so you don't know their names. So you would be the person be like, oh, that person likes their plants.
Yeah,
It must be
like,
a gardener.
I like
it
They
is
hang
how
out the
you
fire escape. They're the fire escape guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
easy.
if you were, being a peeping Tom is basically what this person is.
Yep.
And looking through and seeing someone always taking the fire escape, then you're gonna call them like, the couple that
They're the fire escape
couple.
And that's what's on the
Right?
back of
And
these.
I do like that because they are describing it as a stranger.
Yeah. And that's what I like, the point of view of that. Like, it's the fire escape couple. That's the songwriter, because they see them sing.
Yeah.
This is like
I think there's a
the
hearing
Miss
aid.
Hearing Aid,
Yeah.
Miss Lonely Hearts. Who else? This guy. This is the one that has a whole name. Mr. and Mrs. Thornwald are the only ones that have their own name. Now, I'm not sure why, because I haven't seen the movie, so I'm assuming they know them somehow. But there's like different names for everybody, but it matches the fact that you don't know who these people are, and I think that's neat. It's from the perspective of the watcher.
Of a stranger,
You
yeah.
name them.
Yeah.
So, like, I haven't seen the movie, but I think the theme fits, because everything that you play down, and because it's not as abstract as Mysterium. It's not like I said, a rat holding a balloon that's on fire and it's flying. It's things that you would see through a window of a person. You'd see a shadow.
Yeah.
You'd see their furniture. You'd see...
You see them dancing. You see them in front of the mirror.
Yeah, so it very much feels like you're looking through a person's window and you're experiencing their emotions. Like this guy, he just wrote some, he's emotional right here. He's angry. And he's in front of a piano. Chances are he's a songwriter or a musician of some sort. He broke something, so there's that emotion. It's in there. And that's a scene that you could see through a window. Right? And you could be like, oh, okay. That's what I'm getting. And I think thematically for me, that fits.
Yeah.
I would
100%.
definitely say they're on point with the thematics of this.
Okay. Let's move on to next. Okay, next. Tactics, strategy, overall gameplay. So, like, basically, how much variance does this game have? Does everybody feel... Does every game feel the same? Does every game have a runaway leaders, which I don't think is the case in this game? And does the game feel balanced? Is there dominant strategy? Again, not something that really matters in this game. So, tactics, strategy, gameplay.
Obviously this game has a little bit of a feeling of like samey, because you're dealing with like day 1, day 2, day 3, and the goal is to have like a person.
Well, I think the samey portion comes. Is it the same every time you play it?
But it's not. I think every time is a little bit different because it's going to have a different combination of some sort, and the cards will be different. You'll use them in different ways, and like you'll really play back on the previous day to figure out like what did you get right versus what did you get wrong, and where do you think you went right based on like what cards you're showing us.
Well, here's the interesting thing about like the samey thing you're bringing up.
It's not I'm not meaning that in a bad way.
I understand, but as you're discussing this, because I've never played a watcher and you guys have never played the director. From my perspective, I find, because I've randomly generated, I randomly generate these cards that you choose, and I put them on here, that I started doing things more randomly because I started getting a lot of the same things. And these cards, I've seen them all. And I see them all, and I'm like, okay, it feels the same. I get it. So at some point, I start using the same cards for the same clues.
I was going to say the same thing. I noticed throughout our games that some cards meant the same thing every game.
And here's the thing. If I'm playing with the same people, which a good chance a lot of people will be, if you understood that was a gardener card, that was a thief card, that was an art connoisseur card, I'm going to play that card again and again because I find they turn up a lot because it's not a huge deck of cards.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to play that again so you can get it again. And maybe that's why we're getting better.
Maybe.
Because we sucked for the first few games, and I hated it.
Well,
because we couldn't figure it out. It was hard. The game is not easy.
I added some notes for gameplay section that
but I think that goes into going back to our comment around like you need to play a couple games so you can get into the flow of like, okay, this could mean, these flowers mean gardener. It doesn't mean a gift. Like looking at it in a different way. Whereas if you see some flowers by a romantic table, you're going to instantly think like, oh, this is like date night and that's a gift.
Well,
but it's like a different way of thinking of it because once you get the answer in a previous game, you're like, oh, they used that totally different and I didn't even see it.
What I find interesting is like as far as gameplay goes, like there's a lot of things you can pull from the cards. But like we played a game, it was me, you, Kayla. And it was the drunk. And I played cards like there's booze in all these cards and certain things. And then Brittany drew this pattern. And she's like, oh, it's this and that. And this connects to that and this. And she's the drunk and blah, blah, blah. And I can't, as the director, you can't speak. But I was listening and I was like, yeah, Brittany, yeah. She's drawing all these lines together. I was like, holy fuck. Like, she's getting it all. I was like, this is amazing. And then she's going through this whole, like, soliloquy of, like, she's just rhyming off thing combinations and chaining, like, together. She's like, this is all coming together. And then Kayla's like, what if she's a cook? And Brittany's like, oh, yeah, what if? And I was like, holy, like, you just erased everything she said. And you didn't ask her to back up her strategy. You just folded. You were just, yeah, that's a good idea. Boom, wrong answer. I was like, no. But I can't say anything. So I'm here quietly like, and I was like, oh, that. So as a director, it's interesting because there's two different perspectives, right? There's the watcher's gameplay perspective and there's the director's gameplay perspective.
I'd be interested to play the director's
Now, I'm interested to see how this would be because like.
But I feel like I'd be sweating because that's how it was with Mysterium. I enjoyed being on the other side because I was just like, oh my gosh, they're going in the wrong direction. Yeah, well, I don't know how to fix it, and I was panicking. And
we did that. We did that with Mysterium, where it's like I played the person behind the screen for a while.
You usually do.
Yeah, I do.
Roles, yeah.
And then, but then we played with Brittany because me and Brittany played that game so many times.
But you're just so bad.
She came behind, but when I'm on the other side, I'm a terrible guesser. I'm a freaking terrible guesser. I'm a much better clue giver than I am guesser.
It's
Not
true.
that I'm an amazing clue giver,
understatement.
but I'm such a terrible clue guesser. I'm such a terrible clue guesser. As far as even like detective games, I'm freaking terrible. If I have to figure out a mystery, it's terrible.
Yeah. See, I can see that. Because for me, that's why I have a problem with replayability is that exact reason. Because I tend to focus too much on these little things and my brain goes all over.
Yeah, but you did a really good job at kind of, pulling the numbers. It's like, okay, we had 4, and then like counting.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of that.
You did do a good job.
I liked you watching what? No,
that
beep.
was
That was the
monitor.
baby monitor.
Okay.
Anyways, I thought you did a really good job because when I was here, I was like, because
my brain was like,
this group hasn't played together exactly. Then so you're introduced new into this group, and you start doing math. And I was like, yeah, Chris, get it. Get it, Chris. Go get it. And Kayla's like, but why? And I was like, shut up, Kayla. Chris got
math wins.
He's breaking up the math. He's like, but this and that and percentages and this. And I was like, yeah, go, Chris, figure it out. And I see him figure it out. And in my head, I'm like, yeah. And then anytime anybody talked you down, I was like, no, shut your hole.
Yes.
But like, I get your reasoning. Like, I get why you would shut him down. But Chris was, like, on roll. And knowing the answer, listening to you guys talk, I'm like, yeah.
But that's what I think that's what I like about this game, is you very much need the different perspectives, right? Because we can get
Absolutely.
so focused on this won us the game last time, or you're only focused on the one thing that you need someone to kind of talk you out of it. Like this card right here, I very much was like, she's angry and it's date night, she's yelling at someone and he's a thief down there, and you walked me back and was like, no, this has to mean one thing, not 5 things. And I was trying to pull a story from it, which, I mean, we ended up getting to the right answer, but like, I totally made up that story, which I enjoyed.
You did the same thing for me. Like right off the bat, like, the first time I got to play it, we were doing it, and I knew that there was a purple card that would give you that added ability. So I just saw purple, and Mark was putting down cards, and I saw purple, so I was like, "There's purple, kill! There's purple! It's got to be purple!" And you're like, "But that one's purple. That's purple."
And I would never
That means
think-
absolutely nothing, Chris. Like, oh, okay, never mind.
But maybe it
No.
would.
Yeah.
Like, you never know.
No.
It could.
But just
But you
by
need
playing with Mark before, I'm like, he hasn't matched the colors on these tiles
Yeah.
before, so it is like, we're not starting with that.
Just stop.
But I do very much like this game as a co-op game, and I think the more people involved in it, the better the flow.
So I have
Yep.
to say, I didn't love the game to start, but today I really enjoyed it. 3 people. We also won.
We also won, so that helps.
Like, I don't know, but
Well, here's like a few things I have, like as far as like the gameplay. I'm put this board down so I can see what I'm talking about. Is there certain rules where like I can put, as the director, I can put 2 cards face down, and now, as I mentioned before, if there's a murderer on my board and I have to get them to get some, like there's a murder on this side as one of the answers, then that means I'm against them, but I need to get them to get a few answers correct. But there are certain things like I'll turn down cards face down for 2 reasons. I don't want them to pay attention to those cards because that'll just lead them astray. Or the answer's too good. It's like, oh, the murderer's face. Like, I don't have anything here. But it's like, it could be like this guy's face and he was the murderer. So I was like, I'm just going to keep that face down. But I can only choose 2 per day. So like, I don't want them to see it. So that's another reason I could turn it face down. But here's the thing. Some of the abilities I find
not very good.
kind of poo-poo.
Only 2 are good.
Kind of poo-poo. The detective...
Because there's the different variants of it.
But
right?
here's the thing. The detective, I find him good. Murderer or not murderer? Me on your side or not your side? I think detective's good. Because you asked me a yes or no question on like, is it a virtuoso? And I say yes or no. And I have to answer honestly. So I have to answer you honestly. Great. Her, whatever her name is, I can't read upside down. She's got a little arrow. And you're like, pick a picture. And you're like, pick this picture. And then I have to point to the thing that's most important. So maybe it's piano. Maybe it's this guy. So I just point to that. But here's the thing. That's great if it's if there's no murderer and I'm on your side. But if I'm not on your side, then I could lie and I could be like, it's the piano.
Yeah.
And that's in the rule book. I can lie for her.
And that's why I prefer the no murderer, because I feel like there's a better flow, because then these abilities almost, it doesn't even matter to use them, because if you're lying or these things don't mean anything, or you're putting those down to like put us astray because you know we're going to flip one,
Well,
it doesn't really matter if you use them or not.
I got something to cover that.
You know?
So, covering abilities. I feel so those 2 are the most useful.
Agreed. I like the yes or no one the best.
Now these 2 are
Because you
interesting.
can't lie.
These 2, I think, if you're playing, if there's a murderer, I think these 2 are useless. And here's the reason why. His ability is, I have to swap you pick a closed window, and I have to swap it out with one of the 8 cards in my hand, and I choose one, and then I can either put it face up or face down. But if I put it face down, you've gained nothing. Right?
Yeah, I think about it in conjunction with her, though, if you do something.
But if I'm the murderer, I'm not going to put down anything that's
that's
useful
good.
for you.
Yep.
And here's the thing. Her ability, again, this though, let's go back to him. That has worked useful when I'm on your side. Those games where there's no murderer, you say, take that window out. And I was like, okay, I have 8 cards to choose from. I was like, oh, I'm going to put them because I want you to say they're the end. It was like, that worked out perfectly.
Yep.
So if there's no murderer, that ability, excellent.
Awesome.
Now her ability. Her ability says, and now her ability, I thought was going to be more useful, but it's probably
It's
one of the
not.
more useless abilities. Because she looks at 2 turn-down windows on any one day. Now, if there's no murderer, which you guys don't know yet, those 2 turn-down windows, I turned them down because they were shit clues to begin with. You flipping them over is
Just
not
not
gaining
It
you
just confuses
anything.
everything.
Like, we played a game where I flipped it over and there was like a big camera on it, and then after that, Brittany was like, "Photographer lives there," and I was like, "I turned it down for a reason. Like, it's a bad clue."
Yeah.
And then, if there is a murderer, you flip it over. I'm not gonna put like if it was like let's take him for example. This is flipped down. If you look at this, and it's like he is the murderer. I'm not going to flip that down in the same room where he's the murderer. I know you have that ability. If I'm going to flip this card down, it's going to be over here.
Yeah.
So if you flip it, it's going to be like, oh, he's hiding the murderer and he lives in this house. I was like, yeah, sure.
Which is what happened to us the
knock
one day.
yourself out.
Yeah.
But like,
it's useless.
I'm not going to put them face down. She's the
And
most
we
useless
didn't
ability.
even use that last game. The 2 that you said is kind of useless. We didn't even bother with it because we were like, we're
Those
not going to
two-
get confused.
Those
about
2
it.
are by far the best ones.
100%. Yeah.
And okay, and as far as like gameplay, like we got to compare this to like you can't go through not compare this to like Mysterium.
If you've played it, yeah.
It plays like Mysterium.
It does.
Because Mysterium has a board and I'm throwing down cards to get the people to guess the murderer or whatever happens. Now, the 2 very different art styles. I like them both. If I had to choose, I prefer Mysterium over Rear Window. But not to say I don't like Rear Window. But I don't think you need... I don't know if you need to have both. If you like Mysterium and you're done with Mysterium and you want more, then get Rear Window. Because the gameplay is very similar. But here's something. One thing I like about Mysterium better is that I feel like there's more feedback quicker. Because everybody... everybody in Mysterium is each trying to solve kind of like their own thing. Your own murderer, your own location, your own weapon. Everybody has that. And everybody's doing their own kind of thing. And they can help each other. Here I feel like there's more of a lag because everybody's waiting for the exact same thing. Trying to get the same answer. So I put it down, everybody's working toward the same thing. I like Mysterium because of the quicker feedback, but I like this better because everybody's working toward the same thing. I find Mysterium kind of weird where there's like everybody's figuring out what their own answer, and they could be a like one of those answers is the murderer. I find that weird. Thematically, I think this works better where everybody's working toward one answer. That makes way more sense to me.
Yeah, thematically, definitely.
But what I like about Mysterium, which I think I was kind of hinting at for this game, is you're always co-op. Whereas sometimes you might not be, which kind of, I guess, is probably the point of why they did it. Of like, you just don't know, so it builds that mistrust. But then when you are on our side, the flow is better. Which I like that feeling of like, yes, we're solving problems.
But here's the thing: is you don't know.
You don't know, so there's like there is that distrust.
I feel like if you're the murderer, it's almost 100% chances we will not win.
Yeah,
There's no way we can win if you're the murderer because you throw us off the set.
You haven't won yet as the murderer.
We haven't won yet, but knowing how to play the game, I'm saying I think it's unlikely.
I want to say with Mysterium, there's 3 like murder, weapon,
and a location.
And location.
There's 3 things. Here, it's 8 things you need to nail. You need to nail everything perfectly in order to win that game. That's very hard to do, to nail 8
But you did it in day 3.
Well,
we did. But that...
But in Mysterium, everyone has their own person, location thing. But what I like about that is if you're done and you're confident about it, you help the other person try to figure out their mystery.
I want to say Mysterium's easier that way.
I do think this game, though, does have even more of a co-op-y feel. Because I feel like Mysterium, you're very much focused on your own thing. And you help from time to time if you have time.
Yeah.
But only if you have time or the person's stuck. Whereas this is very much like, what's your thoughts on this? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And then let's talk it through.
Yep.
So do like that aspect about this game.
But you can't doubt that you can't like deny that there's a heavy Mysterium influence here. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Mysterium, there's 3 crows who you can discard to get new cards. Here, there's 3 cut
Yeah.
cards to discard to get new cards. So
I think this game could benefit from an expansion. But you're right. I don't think it would. I mean, I love the theme of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what pulls me into this game, but I think you're right in regards to...
The thing is excellent.
You don't need necessarily
Here's
both.
one-
Unless you love that type of game and you have parties all the time, then maybe you do.
Well, here is one interesting thing is this box, and I read the rules, and I was like, oh, maybe when I play it, it'll make sense. Box says 3 to 5 players. I don't see why you can't play this 2 players.
I'm not sure why.
Like, I haven't seen any reason to say why you can't play this 2 players.
I mean, it's more fun, more
It's
players.
It's challenging as heck with 2 players.
But that's just
But I
more
think-
minds trying to converse and bounce
do it.
ideas off
But
each other.
you could definitely play this 2 player. This is something you and I could play 2 player and be just fine.
Yeah, there's no like
Okay?
there's no like 2 player setup or 4 player setup. Like nothing changes.
No.
You play the exact same game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why like me and Chris, I'm saying because you're across the table from me, couldn't just play this just me
I
and
think
you.
you can, but the more people that are playing, the more variety of thinking and the easier it gets.
Yeah.
What could
For sure.
be a factor on why it's 3 player though is we're talking through the cards, whereas if it's only 1 player, you can't change your cards according to what I'm thinking in my brain.
Yeah, but
and
you
not
could
saying out loud.
change that by like just talk out loud. Just talk your thing. Just,
Yeah, I
you're like,
guess.
I'm
I
gonna
enjoy
change
talking to
this
myself
person.
and
Not,
talking
not
about
necessarily, because if I
blah,
don't
blah,
trust you and I think there's a murderer,
But then that's easier because in that
Yeah.
could you flip that face down right now? If yours a murder, bring it in the center of the table so I can show it. There's this board that if you guys as watchers think I'm a murderer, you could not speak and use these things being like
although we've never really used
her over here. Yes, I think they're the murderer. Like you can talk by just pointing
So
to
first
things.
of all, we never use this.
No, you never.
don't
we
think
never-
you
Then
really
when I
need it.
thought about using it, these aren't on there. So all you can do is say, I think this person's there, but you don't have the opportunity to say these are here.
Yeah.
So I find this a little bit useless.
I like where they were going with it. I don't think it's complete.
I've never seen this used, and
I agree.
And personally, I haven't had a game yet where I think me listening to you guys was gonna help. Even if
Change.
there was a murderer, I was like, I don't know how that would help me.
Yeah.
Because if you guys have an idea in mind, like I don't have enough control over these cards to be like, I'm gonna change your mind and turn you the like. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Like it would be just as much as me. You can take this off here now. Like it's a neat idea. I don't think it matters at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys talking, I don't think I have enough control that whether I hear you or not, if I'm on your side or not, I don't think it matters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, player interaction. Is there any, and how much do you feel it impacts other players? Now, the really only player interaction is me versus you guys if there's a murderer. And I do feel like when there's a murderer and I'm trying to lead you guys astray, then I will put cards like face down in certain areas that I don't want you to guess. But I am helping you a certain
You're
way.
still trying to get us
Basically,
to 6 or 7.
I'm trying to get you to 6 or 7, and then all of a sudden I turn it off, and I just start getting a little sloppier with my clues. But other than that, there's that. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Like
Well, I mean, the player interaction for the co-op side is very strong.
And you need to have that. If you don't have that,
Yeah.
then you can't beat the game.
I could see this game being taken over by, I don't want to say dominant player.
like an alpha player.
An alpha player.
Yes.
I could see someone being like, nope, this is what we're doing. Nope, this is what we're doing. Nope, this is what we see. I could see that happening in the wrong group, which would take away that fun.
But that would go
But-
in any game like this.
But that's any
Yeah.
game like that. It's not a comment strictly to this game. But I mean, there's lots of interaction in this game. We play the whole time where we're talking things through.
Yeah, but it's not the kind of game that's like I can do something to really screw you guys over all that much. Right?
Just with the
It's
windows.
more like I play you guys, but it's like
Yeah.
I do like the fact that if you're the murderer, you need to get to 6 or 7 because it
Yeah.
forces you
Yeah.
to be on our side until.
Like player interaction, like between the watchers, I think it's great. They're always chit chatting, and I'm trying. And between the watchers, that's you guys are always chit chatting, and I'm out here just kind of listening, and I can't do much. But I play, but I don't mind. I like listening to the process of you guys like trying to figure
It
it out.
helps you decide on what that next one.
Yeah.
If we're really focusing on that it's artwork. It's artwork.
But here's the thing.
You pull away.
One thing I've always done, and this is not written in the rules or anything, but I don't see why everybody wouldn't do this. And this is probably, I don't know how many times we're gonna play this, but it's probably gonna ruin the game for a few people. I always put, if I have
We
the
noticed
card
the person on this side and their attribute on
We
this
noticed
side.
that. We noticed that.
And then I feel like that cuts the game in half. So like, if I want him to be there, I'm gonna place that there. Like I'm always gonna do that.
Well, I think it's just because it makes sense because it's right over that kind of.
Yeah, it does.
But it also helps us get the clues because we knew that guy over there in number B was the purple guy with the blonde hair or white hair and glasses because he was in that spot. And here we didn't know. So we knew we had that right. And then over here we're like, oh, what's the common denominator between the two?
When you look at
there's
this one,
flowers and there's a plant. Must be the gardener. It's definitely this guy. He's in both places.
and in D, he put the same orange girl in both
Every
spots,
time,
so we
yeah.
knew it was her.
Green.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All good points. So now let's go game length. For me, what does the box say? What does the box say?
What is it? Half hour, 45 minutes?
I don't know.
Did we actually meet it this time?
It feels like.
No way.
What is
It doesn't say.
It's gotta say. No, it
gotta
always
say.
says. It always says 40 minutes. Seems
It
about
is
right.
about
Wow.
40 minutes.
It's
about
about
40
30
minutes.
That's
30
rare
minutes.
where we've actually been within the time of a game box.
I think we said that for Gutenberg too.
Yeah, that's not our thing.
I wouldn't say this game takes too long. You can play this game a few times in a night.
I like that.
And it feels good. It doesn't overstay its welcome. So I think game length is solid. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to finish the game, and we're good. I think it starts to slow down when you get to the end, and people are like, "I only have 5 right. I still get to get 3 more right." And
When you have,
Unless you go
when we're
5, 4,
guessing-
5. It's like, oh no.
yeah, that's when it slows down. I feel for me, like the game only slows down in the first one for me, because what I do is it slows down for me in the beginning, and then while you guys are guessing, then I'm getting ready for the next round, and I'm getting ready for the next round, so that I'm always ready for the next day. So for me, the game goes speedy, and I'm just waiting for you guys, because while you guys are figuring it out, I'm planning for the next day and what the clues are. So, but game length, I think, is great.
All right.
All right. Learning. How easy is the game to teach? That's my question because I taught it. How easy is it to play? How easy is it to learn? Is the rulebook intuitive? Did you struggle to learn it? I actually didn't find... The rulebook seemed kind of light. There was a lot on the setup. But again, I kind of read through the rulebook. I glanced through... I did read through it. But I don't know if my mind was into it or if I just missed things or if they just weren't there. Because there were certain things in the rulebook I was like, okay, I don't know if the game seems simple, but I think I'm missing something. So I watched Rodney's video, which I did with the last How to Play we did. And Rodney did a great job. If you're looking for a good How to Play, watch Rodney, Watch It Played. He did a great job of How to Play on this. And it's like, and I was like, oh, okay, each of these are the same day. I only set this board once. There are certain things I just missed in the rule book that he explained in his video. So, but his video is clear enough that other than the setup, which I read the rule book again just to make sure I got the setup right, his video is perfect. So learning for me, I just watched the video and I was fine. The rule book I didn't think was the best, but again, I read through it once fairly quickly, but I don't know if I missed things because they weren't in the rule book or because I just missed them because I was reading it quickly.
Yeah.
But how do you guys feel learning it? Because teaching
I
it
thought it was
seemed
easy.
simple.
You taught us in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was
Usually it takes
super-
an hour.
Yeah, like I taught Chris how to play this while we were setting up the cameras
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything.
And even then, you were just talking about the game. You weren't necessarily teaching me how to play. You were just like, oh, you do some stuff, you look at these things, and you
Yeah.
kind of guess, and duh.
And I mean, it's pretty straightforward on the board, and the consistency of the boards really helps. I mean, the colors change, but the main parts don't. So I think it's really easy to kind of
I think it helps if you've played games like Mysterium.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. I gotta look at a photo and figure it out, and it might be weird, abstract things in the photo.
The only thing that caught me off guard was the purple cards where you can add another character.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it. I didn't know about it until we finished that one game, and you're like, oh, this is another character added to it. Like, oh, I didn't know that. But that was it.
And what Chris is talking about, pass me a purple, is that you could take one of these cards, one of these tokens, and you could add a person. So it says dining with. So it could be like Mrs. Whoever is dining with the songwriter, and that's what you get.
Those ones are hard.
So that's
Those
adds another
it
character.
makes it a little harder, yeah. But that wasn't even an option in the last game we played.
And
Which I think is...
that was it, and that was like the most complex part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're fair. Okay, fun. Does the game create fun or inspiring moments? Is the game so? Are we interacting? Are we like stuck on our heads? That's the kind of thing we're talking about here.
Definitely tons of
Is there
interaction.
downtime between turns? How does the game punish you for making bad choices? Those are the main questions for me.
That's a lot there to take on there, Mark. Just
Well,
saying.
for me, downtime. There's a lot of downtime for me because I'm watching you guys once I set up and I'm just watching. And I can say sometimes it's frustrating because I'm like, I hear you guys talking things over and over again. I'm like, just pick something so I can go. Because like I lay my cards out in advance.
I think because you lay your cards out in advance, it's not slow for us.
Yeah, no.
As soon as we're
It
done,
just
you're
go,
ready
go,
to go
go.
to the next one.
Yeah, so it's slow for me, not slow for you. Because I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I just lay them down because I'm doing them while you're guessing. But during me, it's like listening to you guys is interesting. No, it's interesting at first, but then hearing you guys over and over again, I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. Like, just make a guess. Just make it. I don't care. Just guess. Because at some point, when you get to the fourth, and I was like, you're not gonna get it. Because like both the things you're discussing are completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like, if you go with either of your options, you're gonna lose. So in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, just guess. Like you could have lost 10 minutes ago, and it would have been the same results.
Yeah.
You're still gonna lose.
As far as interaction, though, like with us being watchers, there's a lot of like, oh, look at the purple. There's purple. And you're like, no, there's a freaking piano. There's something else. And you're trying. So the interaction between us is going through a lot
Yeah.
more.
I do like the strain of trying to be like, oh, what do I do with this card? How do I get this? Which card's the best? I'm looking at the details like, okay, there's like a fragment of something in this card. I'm gonna put it down. Are they gonna pick it up? I don't know. And I'll put the card down with this like person playing a piano, and you're like, oh my god, there's pencils on the piano, and I'll be like, no, no, but I can't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I'm being honest with this game, I think how I would describe it is a little bit of a roller coaster. Because there's some games that I get very frustrated with because I feel like I don't see any of the clues. And everything's wrong, and there's not enough time for us even to remotely catch up on it, and we just can't figure it out.
Or we get 0.
Yeah.
And then 5. And then 3.
And we're just, and it's kind of like, I don't even understand where we went wrong. I don't know how to fix it. Those abilities aren't even helpful. So it's that game was frustrating. Fast forward to the game we just played, where we were like getting clues, and all of a sudden the numbers going up, and we're like, yes, this is a possibility, and we got it in game 3, and it's like, yes.
But
all of a sudden,
that was a rarity. The other games all were terribly hard.
But this game was fun.
It was fun.
But it was fun because we were actually like, holy crap, our number is high, and it's high on the second one, and we figured it out, and like now it's like elimination, and we're going through. That was fun. But like
when you're stuck in the 3s and 4s, it's not fun.
But I think it's a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because I think it's very much dependent on the cards you get, how you're in. I don't know.
And the interaction
I don't
too,
think every game is fun.
No, I think
But
interaction
some games are really fun.
definitely depends on the personalities. Like where you're saying is my mathematical was added a different aspect, whereas you were picking out this and that, and you're picking. So
I'm completely storytelling.
Yeah, so
like
it's
pulling.
interesting to see where everyone was pulling their information from, and I'm just like, oh, math, this and that. So it's neat to see how everyone was kind of doing their own thing, which made that interaction, which made that game that much more fun. And then, surprise, surprise, we ended up getting it at day 3. It was fantastic. Whereas I think if you had the same personalities, it'd be very hard to progress through. You need to have that different.
For me, here's the thing. I keep comparing this to Mysterium because I don't know how you cannot compare this game to Mysterium.
Yeah.
As the person behind the board, either the ghost or the director in this case, I find this game fun But I find it frustrating when you guys aren't having a good time, then I'm not having a good time. So when it's all cooperative, then everybody's having a good time and I'm good. But once there's a murderer and I'm trying to throw you guys off and you guys are getting frustrated, but I'm winning, I'm not enjoying my win because you guys are so frustrated.
Yeah, like I've played 5 games. I was frustrated for 4 of them. Like I was like, I'm done. Are we done yet? Like I couldn't get into it. I only got happy with this one because we actually got somewhere.
Yeah, and we were all on the same team, and I liked seeing the excitement from you, and that made it fun for me. But when I'm, like, there's games like Dead of Winter or The Thing where, like, I'm trying to manipulate you guys or lie to you guys.
And you enjoy that.
And I enjoy that. But in this game, I did not enjoy when there was a murderer. Like, because you guys are having such a shitty time. Because I'm throwing you off and you're like, I just can't get it. And I'm like, yeah, you can't get it because I'm doing a good job of throwing you guys off and you can't get it. But I was like, I'm not having a good time. For some reason, I'm not. So what I liked about Mysterium...
You pull that energy.
What I liked about Mysterium more is that there's no option of me being a bad guy. I am always on your team.
Yeah.
So I'm always in it with you. And I always got that energy that I'm getting from the tables. Like, yeah, we're in it together. But then as soon as there's a murderer, I was like, I have to fake that I'm in it with you. And I feel bad somehow. Because I was like,
Because you shot the dog.
let's not bring that up. Dead of Winter reference. We're not talking about it. So... All right, so we're gonna go into other thoughts, and then we'll do like other notes, anything else that's outside the categories, and we'll go into like final thoughts. So, anything else? Like, do you guys think this needs an expansion, etc.?
Some new
abilities.
Yeah, I think that would help out.
It would take away some of the frustration.
Yep.
I would like some powerful abilities, and I'm on this side. I'm on the director's side, and I think some more powerful abilities would help. I don't know how you would make an expansion for this game because it's kind of based on a movie that's kind of like limited.
Well, you could do more cards with the same people and different variations.
Maybe, but
that may help you because you've seen all the cards, so maybe a little less boring for you.
Maybe
like Mysterium has a stack like
yeah, I don't think this game is as expandable as a game like Mysterium because Mysterium has nothing to tie it down. Like, this is based on a movie. With Mysterium, you do whatever the hell you want. So I don't think this game is going to go any further than what it is.
Fair.
That's my point. Now, as far as final thoughts go, what are your thoughts? Like, do you like this game? Would you recommend this game? Should people buy this game? Anybody? Jump in it. Kayla. You've got to face it.
I will never play this game again.
You're done with this.
I don't like it at all.
You don't like it at all?
No.
But I thought you enjoyed the last game.
But only because we did well, and that's not the case most of the time. Most of the time I felt really frustrated.
Okay.
And I felt like it was so subjective, and I'm more of like, I want to play a game, and I want to learn the rules, I want to do better next time, and I want to keep advancing my gameplay, where this, you can't. You're like a newbie every time.
This is probably one of those games where, like, if you get better at it, it's almost like it's because you're cheating.
Because
we're learning how you're playing.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we're getting better.
So it becomes more of a cheat, not like you're a better strategist.
Exactly. There's no strategy.
It's like
That's true, because I only got the gardener from this because of another game we played.
Yeah, and because we've played so many times and we've gone through all these cards, I'm using the same clues.
Yeah.
So it's like you said earlier on, where it's like you can't say why you picked that card because it could either help or hinder. You know, you give them that clue, and you'll get stuck on that. So, I'm
love
torn.
The theme of this game.
Love the theme.
I love the theme of this game, and I love the art.
Yes, there's so many great things, but exactly that where it becomes, it's not how well you can understand the game or improve yourself and improve your gameplay to improve the game. You don't have that in this. It becomes reading the cards, reading the character that's playing it. You can't. It's hard to improve on the game like you can on the multiple games that we play. So I
agree. I and it's the same thing. It's like from my perspective too. I don't know how much I can improve. Like my strategy is just because like I know you guys read this card this way. So because the more I play with you, I start playing cards that you recognize. So the strategy does kind of it caps out really fast. Basically, it's like once you know how to play the game, that's it.
I think this game, what I like about this game, and it could be good for you if you always have a different board game group. I think that would be a game that you could bring to the table. If you are having a party and people don't know each other, this could be a nice icebreaker game. I like that about the game. I like the theme. I think the theme is relatable to people who maybe are not board gamers too, because maybe they've seen the movie and it's like, oh, well, I've seen that movie. I guess I'll sit down and play this game with you. So I think this could be a game like that. Are
Halloween
you gonna
coming up?
Yeah, like there's some factors there, but as someone who plays so many games, if you look behind us, like I don't know how many times I would bring this to the table for us again. But if we had someone new to the group again that maybe didn't play, or maybe we only had an hour to play for whatever reason, then this is a great filler game.
Okay. So you're like,
I'm on the fence.
You're on the fence. Kayla's a definite no. Chris?
I'm on the fence. Like, I want to say yes. Like Brittany said, the new group, yes, bring it out. It's an easy game. Learn quick, boom, bang, done. New group, new vibe. But as far as replayability with us, there's a limited amount there.
No, here's the thing. This isn't the first game of its type. If it was, then I might be like, wow, this is amazing.
Fair.
But like, I keep bringing up Mysterium. Because we own Mysterium. We've played Mysterium plenty. I would still play. I've played Mysterium way more than this game.
You love playing the ghost in Mysterium.
I do.
You get so happy when you're doing like the knock.
It's good. It's like,
yes or no? Like you get so happy just thinking about it. You're happy.
But the thing is, we have Mysterium. We've played it. We've played so much Mysterium.
Ridiculous, yeah.
And we've played less of this, but I'd rather go back and play Mysterium.
Agreed.
So, and here's the thing. I think if you have Mysterium, I don't think you need this. I think if you're going out to look for one, take Mysterium over Rear Window. I know I've heard other people say they like Rear Window better than Mysterium. I don't know why.
I think it has to do with the theme. I think it
Theme's
does
fantastic.
feel like I'm looking through your window.
I do like. I like the theme better than Mysterium. I like the theme better.
Like Mysterium is
Here,
very much
I
like
like
a
on Rear
Salvador
Window.
Dali dream-like pictures, and I think if you're not into abstract things like that, I don't think you'd like Mysterium because it's too out there. Whereas this is very much for someone who
more relatable.
It's more relatable.
It's much easier too to pick out what you're trying to get in that one picture here versus Mysterium.
Yeah.
Mysterium, like Mark said, it's a unicorn on an umbrella and they're floating in the fire.
I think it depends on who's your group and what kind of things do you like, and then that would be which game.
But it seems like It seems like the
That's interesting. Kind of picking the game for the group.
But it seems like the major separation there is theme.
Theme. I think theme is the deal breaker.
I like the theme of Rear Window better.
Yeah.
I do. Because it's a movie, it's a classic movie. I like classic movies. Even though I haven't seen this one, I prefer the theme of this.
The art is beautiful.
But gameplay, I prefer
Mysterium.
I prefer Mysterium. I think it's got more got more variety. I like more that I'm always on your team regardless of what happens. You can do it. Like you can say we're not going to just include the murderer. Even though I don't think that's a rule I don't think that's in the rule book, but you could just not include the murderer and then you're always on the same team.
I think that would also change the dynamics of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long does Mysterium take to play versus this?
I think it's pretty
It's long. No, I think it's longer.
I want to say it's longer.
It's longer.
But I wasn't sure.
I think it's a little
Well,
bit longer.
We usually play Mysterium with 6 or 8 people. Like we play with Mysterium with a big group.
That's true.
We rarely play with Mysterium with a small group. It's usually a big group game.
If you're playing with a group though, and you're playing Icebreaker, I actually think there's more communication in this game than Mysterium.
Okay.
So again, I think it has to do with how are you going to be playing this game? Is it going to be the same group all the time? Because I think Mysterium is a better game. If it's going to be an Icebreaker game that you're going to bring out with people who don't know each other, you're going to talk
I'll give
more.
you that. It's easier. Yeah. I think it's easier to say hey, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to figure out what this is. Where in Mysterium, you're hey, we're all trying to figure out our own little puzzles.
Yeah. So there's a lot more quietness going on, and then people are still a little bit more shy. Whereas this one, you get right into it. It's okay, what do you see in this card that I'm not seeing? And I like that. So again, I think it's going to be how do you play the game, or how do you plan to play the game, who's playing it,
Who did Mysterium?
which game you would pick. Because I do think it's very similar to Mysterium, and I do think there's a faster play here, and I think it's because we're co-op from the beginning, whereas Mysterium's very much in your own little thing.
There was the other game, Obscuria. That was one you played. That it had the round discs. Mm-hmm. Now I liked this way better than Obscuria.
Mm-hmm.
Obscuria didn't really do it for me. It was okay. I was excited because it was the makers of Mysterium, but the thing, Mysterium's expandable, and we keep bringing that up because Mysterium is available. Rear Window's available. If you go to the shelf, unless there's a huge price difference, choose Mysterium. I can see Mysterium being more expensive. There's more stuff in it in the box in general. The art's just as good, completely
And it
different.
has an app with
good.
music, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it's an app or it's just a YouTube
But
channel.
then it's a YouTube soundtrack for
but
it.
Yeah, there's a YouTube soundtrack for it.
Which I like. But I do think it's a more mellow game.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Overall, I do like Rear Window. I do like it, and I would have bought it
Just on the
based on this alone, based on the theme alone. I would have bought it. And people said it was like Mysterium. I was like, I want it. Like, we got this as a review copy at Gen Con, and I would have been like, but I wanted it. So like, it totally had me.
I wanted to play this game immediately.
Yeah, I like Mysterium. I like that, and I played it, and I'm not disappointed with what I played. I liked it. But if I played this at like your house, not your house, obviously we're the same house. But if I played it at either of your houses, if I played this and I was like, oh, that was fun playing at your house, but I already have Mysterium, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm. Fair. That's fair.
So if I have Mysterium, I wouldn't buy this. And if I had to choose between the two, I would choose Mysterium.
But now that we have both, I think I would pull out the theme based on who we have over.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Because
I
there
agree
are
with that,
some
actually.
friends
Yep.
that I think would connect more with this game than they would Mysterium. And then there's some friends who I'm like, oh, they would totally love the dreamlike state, and I think they would really appreciate the artwork in the
That's
other
fair.
game.
Okay.
I found it very frustrating with Mysterium. There's so much going on in that picture. Like you said, so many things. I had a hard time trying to guess because my mind is constantly going, trying to figure out what it is. Whereas there's literally a person at a table eating. It's either
She's
going to
drinking.
be...
She's drinking, Chris.
So, drinking, but they're just... Okay. But there's only two or three
She's
things.
drinking.
So it's
There's
easier
like no
for
food on this table.
Hence why
It's a bottle of
easier
wine,
for
a
me.
glass of wine, and a candle. If she's eating the candle, Chris, there's no food in this
Hence
table.
why it's easier for me. Mysterium, I'd be like there for hours going, oh, there's so many things, and I don't even see there.
Okay.
So,
So you would choose this over Mysterium?
no. The group, like she was saying.
Now that we
Depends on
have
the group.
both, I think I would
I would say-
I'd pull it out depending on the
Yes.
people who are coming over.
Yep.
Okay. Personally, I would do Mysterium,
You would
but
still do Mysterium.
I do like this game. So like, I think if you chose this over Mysterium, I don't think you'd be necessarily disappointed.
No.
But keep in mind that the other game, which is Mysterium, which plays a lot like this,
A lot more
does have
variety.
expansions
And
that
more
you can
variety,
add to this. But if it's a cost thing, if like, I don't know how much they cost because it's been a while since I bought Mysterium, I didn't buy this. But if this costs like, $35 and Mysterium's like $80, then maybe you're fine with this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that different.
We're not saying that is the cost, just to be clear. We don't know.
I have no idea. But okay. So, I like it. Is it like, do I think this is a must-have you should play? Is it going to make it my top 50? No, it's not going to. It's not going to just because I played other games like it. It does a great job.
Maybe for art and theme.
Yeah, but I'm not.
But not
That's
for
not why you
gameplay.
play games.
No, that's not, I'm not playing them because they're not. I'll play an ugly game if it's fun.
Yeah. Terraforming Mars
Viticulture.
as an example.
Yeah.
So, but by far, I'm not giving this a thumbs down at all.
Oh, no.
It's
It's a really good,
it's
thought
a
out
great game. It's a great game, but
Yeah.
that's my honest opinion is I wouldn't pick this over Mysterium, even though I know there's people out there that like it. Theme wise, I would. Art wise, they're completely different styles. I like them. Both.
I like them both.
I think it's an introduction game too. If you're going that pattern between the two, this is an easy one to
Easier.
just.
If you're gonna
Done.
enter new people into this genre of gaming, this one.
For sure.
So if you introduce new player, I'd say this one because everybody's always working the same puzzle instead of everybody working their own puzzles. I agree. Once you start getting to a more advanced group, then I think Mysterium.
Yep.
Maybe that's the right answer.
Yeah.
This is for, like, if you haven't played this before, newbies, like a gateway game to this style of game.
Yes.
Rear Window. Once you get advanced, move on to Mysterium. I think that's a good flow.
I think that's a good flow because, like,
Yep.
if I think about my parents coming to the table and playing with us, this game would be easier for them to play than Mysterium. I think they might get lost in the dreamlike
Mysterium
cards
definitely
and
threw me
Mysterium. Whereas this, I think, would be more relatable.
Okay. I think
So
that's
I think
fair.
that's the answer, and that's the fair.
I think we could say that. I think that's fair.
Yep.
Is like, if you haven't played this type of game, if you're a newbie gamer, Rear Window, which I think, and think about Funko Games. I think Funko Games is doing a
Awesome job.
bang up job.
Yeah.
And
the quality of their games are really
And I think
good.
this adds to that bang up job. Like, I wouldn't say this is a bump in the road at all. I think like everything we've played of theirs is been great so far. We haven't played everything, obviously.
No, we're trying to keep up. Like we
they
keep getting more.
so many games. But like, I think their stuff is great, and I think this is another great game in the Funko collection. And I think if you are, like you said, a new gamer, you're right. I think you guys hit it on the nose. If new gamers, you want to introduce new gamers, Rear Window. And then after you're done this, if you want to advance, then I'd say go Mysterium, because that experience can expand.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's good. I think we leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So everybody's happy? We're all good? All right. And we ended up winners. This was, in case we didn't clear, we did win this game. There was no murderer, so we're all on the same team. And Brittany's taking the credit for it all because we did poo until she got here. We finished before. All right. Well, that is it. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye. Okay. But who's she?
Chris, are you on your phone while we're recording?
I'm putting my fucking phone on silent.
Are you looking for answers on the internet? The
Putting it on
internet doesn't have
silent.
answers for you, Chris.
Lonely girl, maybe?
How do you? There it is.
What are you, 80? How long did it take you to figure out how to put your phone on silent?
Because I'm halfway to 80.
It's because he's pulling on
You're more than halfway to 80.
And he
Shut
chose his
up, Art.
cards. He got rid of his cards.
Middle age has passed you a
He got
long
rid of his
time ago.
cards.
No, I know I'm not supposed to speak. This is very interesting.
Oh wow.
We've never gotten this far.
It's true. In all the games we've played, you guys have never gotten 7 right. This is day 2 and you got 7. You want to go to day
There's
4?
those two.
You ready?
I need to know.
We know.
No!
Go team!
You did day 3 too, not even day 4.
So I was pointing to,
It was
I was
by
like, I
elimination.
pointed to the flowers, and I was like, boom, flowers. And she's like, a gift. I was like, no!
And then like and where I don't know how. Still, I just let her do it. A thief. I was like, go ahead, Brittany.
It's because he was pulling out.
Nope. I was just like,
A
couldn't get
necklace.
there.
I thought it was like they were fighting over a gift he stole.
What? Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.